When is the National Scholar Transport Policy likely to be implemented? Who is currently responsible for the regulation of scholar transport? And should there be more stricter vetting criteria that is enforced for scholar transport drivers? And what are the transport challenges associated with cross-border education? What time is it? It's question time. Khodzong and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho. Scholar transport continues to pose a challenge for parents and authorities. A case in point is the recent horrific accident that occurred on the R25 between Verena and Bronkhortspruit, which claimed the lives of 20 passengers, including 18 learners. 16 of the learners were finally laid to rest through an emotional mass funeral in Verena over the weekend. A minibus collided with a truck just after Bronkhortspruit and burst into flames, burning most victims beyond recognition. Recently, Deputy Minister of Transport Sindisiwe Chikunga launched the 4th United Nations Road Safety Week that starts from 8th to 14th May. During a speech, she said the week will focus on reducing the speed limit as well as exploring other measures that can be used to address key risk factors. But what can be done to avoid putting the lives of young ones at risk? We are live, therefore you can call us, and you've used the numbers to dial 089-110-4210. Our Twitter handle at Question Time 24. My guest today is the MEC for Gauteng Education, that is Panyaza Lusufi, and joining us from our Pretoria studios, Leighton Beard. He's the spokesperson for the AA, Automobile Association of South Africa. And on the line we're joined by Paul Colditz. He's the CEO for the Federation of Governing Bodies of South African Schools. He joins us, he's in Bloemfontein. He couldn't be with us in studio. But let me welcome all of you gentlemen. Welcome to the show. MEC, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
It's been a very difficult period, I mean, in as far as the parents, the school, and the community around Verena, in as far as that accident is concerned.
To be quite frank, the 21st of April in every year from now on will never be the same. Yeah. It was a dark day for the education sector, but I still believe that it was a dark day for our country. You know, to lose almost 18 innocent souls plus 2 adults in that accident, it was horrific. We went through families, we went through processes of ensuring that we really console and provide support to the families, but it was a difficult process. And I still want to take this opportunity to assure families that they still enjoy our support. We are with them. They must not feel abandoned. And this incident obviously should really bring some changes within the entire sector of transporting learners, but above all of ensuring that we provide quality education in our schooling system.
And indeed, I think the natural question that would follow that is, what lessons then are drawn out of this incident?
Well, it's to fast-track decisions that we've taken as government. One of the most important decisions is inter-government relations in terms of cross-border areas. I mean, if you go to an area like Brits, for example, you'll find that there's a component of Northwest and component of Gauteng. Where we were in Verena, there's a component of Mpumalanga, component of Gauteng, and component of Limpopo in terms of Groblersdal and other things. So it's for us to fast-track the arrangements, because for those particular learners, they paid a heavy price for trying to access quality education. So we need to ensure that at all times we restore that quality, we provide the support, but above all, we ensure that if there is any form of transport, that transport should be appropriate, efficient, and at the same time be safe, because we can't go through this pain again. It was a difficult process.
But what is the problem? Is this an educational problem or a road infrastructure problem?
I'll emphasize the word quality education, because if you check those parents, they were chasing quality. They felt that quality is available where they were taking their children to. I mean, I visited all those families. majority of those families survive through grants. So if they have to take something out of those grants to pay for scholar transport, is a confirmation that they believe education is the only tool that can take them out of the poverty cycle. So it was very, very important, therefore, that they invest in education. So if they believe education can take them out of poverty, they did everything within their powers to take their children to good school, but at the same time to ensure that their children get the subjects that will enhance their chances in this difficult economic time. So it was mainly and purely a situation of ensuring that they've got quality education.
Let me just bring in the AA into the discussion here. We see a lot of this learners taking transport every morning from the townships to your former Model C schools or better areas. Is that sector well regulated?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the answer simply is no. Let me first just add to what Mr. Lesufi has said, that the events of 21 April obviously should not be forgotten and should be used almost as a springboard to deal more effectively with scholar transport. I think in answer to your question, Mpo, it's not regulated, and as Mr. Lesufi said, unfortunately we get into a situation where parents are faced with a very difficult decision. Do we educate our children, or do we put them on transport that is maybe not safe but is affordable in an effort just to get them to school? It's really a Sophie's choice, because you want to have your children educated because that's a way of getting them out of the poverty that they are living in, as Mr. Lesufi said. And I think from the AA's point of view, and touching on the question that you asked, for us it's very important that this begins a conversation of reliable, safe, affordable transport, public transport for children especially, to get to and from schools every day. Because without that, I'm afraid we may see more of these incidents month after month after month.
And the school governing bodies, what role do they play? Yourself, I mean, you are the chief executive officer of the school governing bodies here in South Africa. What role should SGBs be playing in the transportation of learners to their various schools?
Before I get to that, just let me also add my voice to the voices of the MEC and Nathan with regard to the tragic happenings of the 21st of April. We must distinguish between two different important scenarios. The one is the children getting to and from school. That is not the responsibility of the governing body. That's the responsibility of the parents and the state, where the parents are not able to do that. The responsibility of the governing body is providing transport for school excursions. And with regard to that, the transport situation is very strictly regulated in terms of regulations making provisions for the safety measures at schools, where transport is included there. There are extensive provisions with regard to safety measures which governing bodies must comply with before they are allowed to transport learners to and from school at sporting and other excursions. The problem lies actually with getting the children to the school, and that is where I tend to disagree with Nathan. The laws are there, they're simply not applied strictly enough. There's not enough policing to see to it that when learners are transported, their vehicles are actually roadworthy, they're properly licensed, there's a PDP in place, there is proper insurance in place. That part of the scenario is not properly policed, and that's where our main problem lies.
Okay, hold it there, Paul. Let me take Witness. Witness, you are in Limpopo.
Ndinde.
Okay.
Lagaina.
Chatlungo ta loka ngone chotla phela.
No, I get you now going to level waka support really for the family during this trying times, man.
Yeah.
It's really important that you as the department should be there for this on behalf of these families. But then the point, I've got 2 points which I need to make actually.
Okay.
What needs to be done so that we should not repeat incidences of this nature, because this should serve as a lesson. I'm of the view that the Department of Education and that of Transport should regulate the scholar transport. And also on top of regulating the scholar transport, we need to ensure that all the vehicles which are registered to transport the scholars are monitored in terms of their roadworthiness, so that we decrease such instances wherein there are many accidents. Because the reality is that we witness this scholar transport every day, wherein you'll find them being children. Some they are not even sitting on this because they are doing overloads.
Yeah.
You find inside of a quantum, it carries more than 21 children, but it's authorized to can carry 13 or 12 seated passengers. So it's basically because these things are not monitored. If we could give up the issue of monitoring this scholar transport and also making sure that whoever carries these children is registered with the Department of Transport and Education.
Witness, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that point. MEC?
I agree with him. I think the most important aspect is parents must understand their role and responsibilities, because it's their children anyway that are going through the scholar transport process. But we must separate the 3 forms of scholar transport. There is the one that is organized by the state, mainly for what we call Quintal 1 to Quintal 3. These are your purest of your schools so that's the first form, where the state pays for everything and parents are not paying. Then we've got what Paul was raising, excursions, where they go on school trips.
Yes.
Then you've got the transport that is private, that parents organize.
The caravelas and the vans.
Yes. I think the state has improved its part, not to an ideal situation, but at least the appointment of service providers, the monitoring, ensuring that there is proper accountability, it's there. It can be improved. But the area where I believe we are struggling a lot is the private one, the one that I'm referring to. That's where we believe law enforcement agencies need to assist us, but at the same time, parents need to assist us, because parents are the ones that are procuring those services. How do we procure a service where the door of the car is not closing, for example, the validity of the license have not been checked and other things? So if we can strengthen that aspect, and that's where we need institutions like AA, because AA, they've regulated the road transport across the country. So it's very important that we bring them on board to assist us to ensure that there's adherence. Things of local municipalities, the PDPs and all other related things are things that can assist us. But if you can't get enforcement players playing their role, I can tell you, you can pass any law, you can say whatever they want to say. In the absence of enforcement, there's nothing that they're going to get.
Sia, you are in the Eastern Cape. Welcome.
Hello.
Yes, welcome.
Yes, it's here from Willowvale. But you see the problem here.
Yes.
The government started to do this thing of transporting the student, but the problem is that why they are only funding the student from the high level, they can't try from the primary, because you get that lately there are primaries that are get closed in rural areas, and those parents have to look for the transport. Okay, remember, those parents have to pay from their pocket.
Correct.
Then the affordability of paying it's a problem, because they cannot afford to pay for transport. So that's why you get that most of the private transport are the old taxis, because the new taxis are expensive. That's what the problem is. Because if you check even minibus that made an accident recently. That is the old bus. I know that bus is very old. Because of the parent, they cannot afford the prices of the new taxis, then they have to look for those alternatives. So that is the problem. If the government can fund from primary to the high school and try to maintain the infrastructure of the roads, that's one of the problems. Because this quantum cannot just travel on the gravel roads that are not well maintained.
Okay, thanks very much, Sia, for that comment. Let me go to Pretoria quickly. The MEC is raising regulatory issues here. What is the AA able to do? How can you play a role in ensuring this scholar safety?
Yeah, it's a very important issue. I think, if you look at the issue of laws and regulations, and it's very interesting because today, for instance, we have Regulation 250, which came into force, which prohibits the carrying of children on the back of bakkies for reward, for instance, which we feel is, to be cautiously welcomed. But I think, and Paul raised this as well, we have the laws, they need to be enforced. So if a bakkie is in a bad shape and it's unroadworthy, it should not be on the road. And I think that that's the point that the MEC is making as well. We have the laws, they need to be enforced. It's the same issue with speeding. We can reduce the speed limits, but we have speed limits in place at the moment. The question is, are they being enforced properly? And I think that's where we need to go. And I think from the AA's point of view, our role would really be that of advocacy in terms of informing the public of whatever laws there are, trying to make sure that the public adheres to those laws, and making sure, in our opinion, that the enforcers are actually enforcing the rules properly. Because in that way, we can apply the rules that we already have to make them more effective.
Let's go to Bronkhortspruit. Primrose, you're on the line. Welcome.
Hello, Ntate Lekai.
Ke kgotso le kae?
Re teng. Ke a mo utlwa Ntate Lesisiwe di bolela di transfer tsa bona tse ba di kreilang bana ba mo dipolasing.
Yes.
Ke bolela me farmer and Bronkhortspruit ngwana ka o kena sekolo ko locationeng. Ba di tsela tsa dipolasing a di bogere, especially Abo Road. Wa tseba di bus di tla di le tse mpšha mara especially re pula ena they are stuck. Sometimes o kry gore wa ngwana le fihla lata ba re bese be sena di break. Wa bona ntho e jwalo ka baka leka gore lokisetsa ditsela tsa rena.
Thanks very much, my Primrose, calling us from Bronkhortspruit there, saying, well, the problem is the roads, not necessarily the cars. The cars may be roadworthy, but if the roads are not of good standard, then that's a problem. Let me see.
Well, from the education point of view, we are also not blameless. Actually, a lot of blame should be directed at us. The reason why these parents are taking their children far away from their home place is because they are searching for quality. So if we've got fewer schools that are performing good and majority of schools are not performing good, then we'll have this migration. But if we can ensure all our schools are performing good, teachers are teaching, learners are there on time, parents are providing support, and we've got good schools across the spectrum of education in our country, we'll not have this problem. It's not only about the scholar transport. Check the number of learners that migrate to certain towns at the beginning of the year, and during school holidays they have to migrate back to their areas, and they're involved in a lot of accidents. So I don't think the education system, we are blameless as well. We have to work very hard, especially with institutions like school governing bodies, to ensure that we've got quality teachers and we've got good infrastructure. Because you can't take your child to learn under the tree, or take your child to a school that does not have facilities. So we need to improve on facilities. We have to ensure that we appropriately fund education broadly, recruit more teachers, make facilities available, and ensure that people go to the schools that are closer to them. Because if you have everyone going to a school that is closer to them, there will be no need for scholar transport.
Correct. Katie, you are in Polokwane. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I just want to comment on this scholar transport. We are in Polokwane. We are a private scholar transport. We are registered. But our Department of Transport doesn't give us the permits. Instead, we are doing our job with the taxis. And they are collecting the kids right at the gates of the schools. We don't need funding from the government. We can fund ourselves. What we need, and we have got cars that are complying. What we need our Department of Transport to consider us. We are a registered cooperative of transport. Please talk to them, MEC.
Okay, Katie, let me bring in the school governing bodies here. Is there a way parents, or even the schools rather, would intervene, not even interfere, but intervene to ensure that these kids are traveling in safe transport? Is there a way that the SGBs can develop policies that say we need to account for all these learners who are leaving school premises either by this transport or not?
Yes, indeed. First of all, what many schools do is they actually arrange transport themselves. They provide the transport for the learners to get to school and back to home, obviously at a cost for the parents. In most of these cases, you can rest assured that the governing bodies would have taken proper control and made sure that the vehicles are safe, that the insurance is in place, that the driver has a PDP, etc., 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 and that there is compliance with all prescripts. Governing bodies, through the teachers at the schools, can also keep a lookout on behalf of parents to see whether the private transport that picks children up at schools is in a proper state of repair, but they can't really. They're not law enforcers, so they can't intervene to make sure that there is a PDP, that there is insurance, that the vehicle is roadworthy, etc. So the functions and authority is limited as far as private transport is concerned. Okay. They can only advise parents, and that we actually do, is to assist school governing bodies to advise parents on exactly what they must look for before they contract a private transport contractor to take their children to and from school.
Tom, you are in Springs. Welcome.
Mpole
Ratso le kae no?
Re teng. Mpokere wa tseba lebaka le leng le ke batlang gore ba le shebisise thata in transport, ne?
Yes.
Ke ditsela tsa rona. Why most of the tsela tse leng gore go etsagala di accident tse. Ditsela tsa teng di dividwa ke dikolong tse to and from. Di dividwa ke a line of which it's really at any given time an accident will happen on those roads. And SABC said the accident tse ngata tse etsagetseng go di etsagetse mo ditseleng tse bjang tse leng gore di divide ke line dikoloi tse yang kwa le kwa di divide ke line a go ka mgo dikotsi di ka nna di seteng ile gore ditsela tsa rona in the first place ga di so be right.
Dr. Tom, thank you very much. Dr. Tom, they're calling us from Springs, saying, well, the state of our roads are not, it's not the best. So even if, I guess it's a similar call, even if you get good cars, but the roads, if they're not okay, then we're still going to have problems. Let me see.
I agree. I mean, if you check the road where the accident happened, we are all South Africans. There's no life that is important that is based in another province, and a life that is not important that is based in another province. Because that road, the R25, it's well maintained, clean, proper, lighting, road signs when it's in the Gauteng part. When it starts with the sign saying Mpumalanga, it becomes immediately narrow and full of potholes. We are quite relieved that the Mpumalanga provincial government has already taken a decision that from 2018, they will expand that road. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that the accusation about the quality of our roads is indeed a valid accusation. But, you know, as government, we've got lots of competing demands. It's either you have to build clinics or schools, build roads and other things. So it's not that deliberately the state does not want to improve those particular roads, but the concerns are valid, and I think I support and concur with those particular views.
Okay, we have run out of time, but that was question time for today. Tatenda skuru mwari wakati chengeta parwendo retu toskapana. And yeah, let's meet again tomorrow, or rather next week rather. That was question time.